You are welcome. Remember we said, based on the formation, plateaus are classified into three. That is the tectonic, the volcanic, and the dissecated plateaus. But sometimes plateaus are also classified according to their surrounding environment. That is where they are found. And when plateaus are found among mountains or they are bordered by mountains, they are known as intermontane or intermont plateau. These are the highest in the world. Example of such plateau is the Tibetan Plateau. And the Tibetan Plateau is surrounded by massive mountain ranges. It is bordered to the south by the Himalayan range and the north by the Kunlun range. So this is intermontane plateau, and we said intermontane plateau is always found between mountains. So here you can see a mountain range here, a mountain range here, and the plateau in the middle. So if a plateau is surrounded by mountains, they are known as intermontane plateau or intermont plateau. Now let's look at the Tibetan Plateau here. This is the Tibetan Plateau. Now this plateau is bordered to the south by the Himalayan range and to the north by the Kunlun range. So it is a plateau that is surrounded by mountains. And this makes it an intermont plateau or intermontane. There's also the Piedmont Plateau. Now, a Piedmont Plateau is a plateau that is bordered on one side by mountains and the other side by a plain or a sea. When we talk about a plain, it is a lowland. So this is the Piedmont Plateau. Now you can see from here, the image here, that one side of the plateau is bordered by mountains and the other side by the sea. And as I said, it's not always the sea, it can also be a lowland. Such a mountain is known as the Piedmont Plateau. Example of Piedmont Plateau is the Piedmont of United States, found in the Appalachian Mountains and the Atlantic Coastal Plain. So this is the Piedmont Plateau here. This is the Atlantic Coastal Plain at the south, and at the far end is what we call the Appalachian Mountains. So when a plateau is bordered on one side by mountains and the other side by plains, that plateau is known as a Piedmont Plateau. Finally, we also have the Continental Plateau. When we talk about a continental plateau, it is a plateau bordered each side by plains or oceans. That is, when a plateau is formed away from mountains, they are known as continental plateau. So from the image here, you can see that there is a sea here, another sea here, and a plateau exists between the seas. This type of plateau is known as continental plateau. Sometimes it doesn't form between seas, but it is formed between lowlands. It is the same as continental plateau. An example of continental plateau is the Antarctic Plateau or the Polar Plateau found in East Antarctica. So now let's look at the image of the Antarctic Plateau. This is the Antarctic Plateau. It is a plateau that is found between two water bodies. So based on the surrounding environment, these are the types of plateaus. We have the intermontane that is found between mountains. We have the Piedmont Plateau, that is where one side is bordered by mountains and the other side is bordered by plains or the sea. And finally, we have the Continental Plateau, that is a plateau which is bordered on each side by lowlands or the sea. So let's copy this into your notebooks and answer some few questions. We'll be back with the advantages and disadvantages of plateaus.